Kevin Price with your Price Point Edition. You can also catch me over there at Price of Business radio program in Houston, Texas. And don't forget to check out USDailyReview.com, where I'm the editor-in-chief. Got a lot to talk about on this segment. The big story, of course, is the tragic story last week of what happened in the state of Connecticut, in which a horrible, just a horrific situation took place, in which a young man came to an elementary school targeting 6- and 7-year-olds, killing 26 to 7-year-old kids and 7 others, and including himself. It's an incredibly tragic story. And whenever these type of things happen, and let's face it, since Columbine back in the late 1990s, these have been happening more and more. They become more and more common. People are looking for answers to the question. What's interesting is that the answers they're going to, the mainstream media, the politicians seem to be going to, are the answers that have never worked before. I'll give you an example to this. The young man who was involved in the killing of these kids and the teachers, he was using a gun that he obtained illegally from his mother. Now, don't get me wrong, it was a legally purchased gun. And what they're trying to do is make these guns have more requirements for being legally purchased. There's no question this gun would have been legally purchased based on this woman and her background. It was a legally purchased gun, taken to a place where guns weren't allowed, in a city with among the toughest gun laws in the country, in a state, Connecticut, with the toughest gun laws in the country, among the toughest gun laws. Probably Illinois being one of the few states with tougher gun laws than Connecticut. So how in the world would requiring more gun laws prevent this loss of life? We know that the biggest loss of life in a school killing took place in 1927 in a town called Bath, Michigan, and it didn't even include guns. If guns were completely unavailable, people would use bombs like they did in the case of Bath, Michigan with an explosion. We have to quit taking this approach that somehow you're going to make illegal criminal minds think legally by having more laws. That's ludicrous. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I think some ideas that are being bantered out there, ideas I've already heard being introduced in different legislatures around the country, is one, for example, an idea that if you are a person who has the right to own a gun, if you have complied with concealed handgun laws in your state, and you're a teacher or administrator, you should be required to take that gun to school. Not allowed, but required to take that gun to school. Second of all, how about we know that since September 11th, 2001, there's been a rapid drop in the number of incidents in airplanes. How about school marshals? People that may look like administrative officials may actually be people that are professional handlers of criminals and guns. One of the more innovative ideas is forcing the redefinition. This is actually one I've advocated, and I'm actually expecting to see it be introduced in legislatures, is the idea of changing or having requirements for any institution that wants to be a gun-free zone. If it's going to be a gun-free zone, which is an invitation to criminals if there are no guns in that zone, it better be protected to the hilt by individuals who are allowed to own guns. So that means if you're going to be a gun-free zone, maybe you should be required by law to have a minimum of 3 qualified law enforcement officers working at that zone. All I know is that we need to make criminal-minded people think twice before they go to a place and shoot. And what we're getting with gun-free zones is literally an invitation for murder for those who would be intended to do that. I'm Kevin Price. This is my Price Point.